If you've been watching people walk out of your life one by one and you keep asking yourself what you did wrong, stop. Because maybe the question isn't why they left. Maybe the question is why God allowed them to go. Let's be honest for a moment. Losing people hurts in a way that words barely capture. It's not just the absence of their presence, it's the silence that replaces it. The unanswered texts, the plans that stopped including you, the relationships that faded without explanation. No argument, no confrontation, just distance. And the hardest part isn't even the leaving, it's the wondering. You replay conversations, you second guess everything you said, everything you did. You ask yourself, was I not enough? Did I care too much? Did I hold on too tight? And slowly, the silence starts creating a story in your mind. A story that says you were the problem, that you drove them away, that if you had just been different, maybe they would have stayed. But maybe that story is a lie. Now here's something that might shift how you see this entire season. Throughout Scripture, God has always removed people before elevating them, not after, before. Abraham was told to leave his father's household before he became the father of nations. Joseph was removed from his family, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, before he stood in Pharaoh's palace. Moses was pulled from the palace into the wilderness before he led a nation. David was forgotten in the fields before he wore a crown. Every single one of them experienced separation before significance, isolation before influence, loss before legacy. And maybe that pattern is not a coincidence. Maybe God is still working the same way today in your life. Because here's what most people don't understand. Not every relationship was assigned to your future. Some people were placed in your life for a season, not a lifetime. And when that season ends, it doesn't mean you failed. It means the purpose was completed. But let's be real. Some relationships didn't end because their purpose was complete. Some ended because they were quietly destroying you. Some people only valued you when you were available. Some connections only survived because you abandoned yourself to maintain them. Some friendships drained your peace while convincing you they were healthy. And over time, you slowly lost yourself trying to keep everyone else comfortable. God never called you to sacrifice your mental and spiritual health just to keep certain people around. Read that again internally. Sometimes God removes people because they became a crutch, and you cannot walk into your next season leaning on things He never told you to carry. Sometimes He removes people because they were blocking your growth, even if they didn't intend to. Sometimes He removes people because your soul needed room to breathe again. Not every closed door is rejection. Some doors close because they were never assigned to your future. If this message is speaking to your spirit right now, don't keep it to yourself. Someone in your life needs to hear this today. Share this video with them. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Because this channel exists for seasons exactly like the one you're walking through. Now let's talk about what happens in the wilderness. Because the wilderness is not just a place of waiting, it's a place of transformation. When God removes the noise, His voice becomes clearer. And maybe that's why the isolation feels so uncomfortable. Because silence forces you to confront things you successfully ignored for years. The anxiety you covered with busyness. The insecurity you masked with people-pleasing. The wounds you buried under distraction. In the wilderness, all of that surfaces. And it's painful, but it's also necessary. Because you cannot heal what you refuse to feel, and you cannot rebuild on a foundation that was never properly examined. In isolation, Moses learned humility, David learned courage, Joseph learned patience. And you are learning something too. Maybe it's emotional independence, maybe it's spiritual dependence on God instead of people. Maybe it's the difference between being lonely and being at peace. Because loneliness and peace are not the same thing. You can sit in crowded rooms and still feel emotionally empty. You can constantly text people and still feel spiritually disconnected. External attention cannot heal internal emptiness. Only God can reach certain wounds. And here's what the wilderness eventually reveals: the protection. Some of those people God removed, they would have corrupted your next season. Some of those friendships that ended, they would have pulled you backward when God was trying to move you forward. Some of those relationships that hurt you, they were shaping your identity around someone else's expectations, and God had to break that attachment before you could discover who He actually created you to be. Success without inner stability destroys people. Relationships without spiritual foundation collapse. Influence without character becomes dangerous, and God knows this. That's why He slows certain people down before elevating them. Not to deny you blessings, but to prepare your character to survive those blessings. He's not punishing you, He's protecting you. And sometimes protection looks like loss. Sometimes protection looks like silence. Sometimes protection looks like the very thing that broke your heart. But a seed grows underground long before anybody sees the tree. Some of God's deepest work happens invisibly first. So if life feels unusually quiet right now, do not panic. Not every lonely season means God abandoned you. Sometimes He is simply clearing distractions so your spirit can breathe again. Stop forcing doors open. Stop chasing people who are comfortable losing you. Stop shrinking yourself to fit environments that constantly suffocate your peace. And stop confusing attachment with assignment. Not everyone who walked with you was meant to stay forever. Some people were seasonal, not permanent. And that realization hurts, but it also frees you. Because once you stop chasing what God already removed, you finally create room for healing to begin. Use this season wisely, pray more, heal deeply, strengthen your mind, reconnect with yourself, build discipline quietly, protect your peace intentionally. Do not waste this wilderness season trying to escape it emotionally. Let it shape you. Because one day you may look back at this painful season and realize the isolation was not destroying you, it was rebuilding you. And the people who left, maybe they were never meant to walk beside the version of you God is creating. If this message spoke to your spirit today, comment, "I trust the process." And if someone you know is going through a season of loss and silence, share this video with them. You are not forgotten and you are not alone. God is still working, even in the silence.